everybody. How is it going today? I hope very well. Let's do a little review of the geometry that we learned yesterday. We started out learning about types of lines. So if I have this figure with arrows on each end, do you remember what we call it if there's arrows on each end? It is a line. Good job. What if there are dots on each end, end points on each end? Stop signs. What do we call that? We call that a line segment because it is only part of the line. So it's a line segment. It's just part of it. What about this figure with one of each? What do we call that? Who remembers? Remember? It's called a ray. Those are our three basic kinds of lines. Now we have some special lines when there are two or more lines. What if they never, ever, ever, ever will cross? What kind of lines are those? Do you remember? Now we're getting into the big words. They're called parallel lines. They can go in any direction, but if they never cross, they're parallel. What about lines that do cross? Doesn't matter how they cross. What do we call that? We say that they are intersecting lines. If they cross, they're intersecting. Okay? Doesn't matter where they cross. But special ones that cross, like a cross, and they have squares in them, we call those, do you remember? Perpendicular lines. My marker is starting to run out. Perpendicular lines cross in a very special way because they have to be on top of each other. All right, today I want to talk about something called an angle, not an angel. Let me show you the difference in those words. A-N-G-L-E is an angle. If you switch it around and put G-E-L, that is an angel. See this word right here, gel? If you can say gel at the end, it's angel. If it's an angle, you have the GL together, goal. Okay? So we're going to talk today about angles. Open your hardcover math book to page 306, and then you'll see what we're talking about with angles. 306, at the top it says 9-2 angles. Angles are kind of fun. Let's look at what it says. Angles are formed by two rays that start out from the same point. Do you remember what a ray is? A ray is an end point and a line that continues forever out. That's a ray. If I have two of them coming from the same end point, this is called an angle. They don't have to be exact like that, do they? They can be smaller than that, or they can be bigger than that. That one's really big. Bigger than that. And they have special names depending on where they are. Let's look in your book. They give some examples there, right? There's a smaller one, a bigger one, and a square. Oh, wow. Do you see the red line that they put? They put a red line in the corner. When you see that, you know that they're talking about the angles. Okay? You know they're talking about the angles. They also have those some shapes there. Look at the blue shape. What's that? Triangle, yeah. So do you see how the corner of that, it's a little smaller than straight up and down like a piece of paper. And then the yellow one, how many sides does that have? That has 6 sides. Do you remember what that's called? It's a hexagon. But the angles there, those are a little wider. And then the third shape, of course, the orange shape is a square. And those are exactly straight. Let's look at what we call them. Angles have special names. The first one is a right angle. It forms a square corner. Here we are with the squares again. Square corner. If it's a square corner, we call it a right angle, not angel, angle. This also, though, could be like, it doesn't have to be just sitting like that. If you could put a piece of paper in here and it'll be even, if you could put a corner in there and it's exactly even, then we call that a right angle, okay? The next one, oh, it looks squishier. Aw, it's little, it's cute. We call this an acute angle because it's so little and cute. Not really, but that might be a good way to remember it. An acute angle is smaller, okay? And then over here, we have one that's bigger than this right angle, and we call this obtuse. This is an obtuse angle. It's big. It's bigger than this. This one's in the middle. This is smaller, and this is bigger. We call that obtuse. So if you want to use your arms, you can kind of do that. If you have it standing up like this is a right angle. See how the corner is right here? If you make it smaller, it's acute, 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 acute. Oh, we're back to the right angle. Now we're going to get bigger, so we're going to go obtuse, 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 right angle, acute, 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 all the way down. You need to remember what those angles are called. Let's look down at the practice at the bottom of the page. The directions say how many angles does each figure have. I see a green shape that looks kind of like this, right? I'm not going to take the time to fill it all in because that would take forever. So it looks like this. Can you count how many angles you see on your shape? For number one, look at your book. How many angles do you see? Can I give you a clue? How many corners do you see? The angles are the corners. That might be a little easier, isn't it? Well, let's see here. Here's an angle. Here's an angle. Another one. And another one. How many angles did you count? I hope you counted 4, because that's how many there are. Do you know what kind of angles these are? They're right angles, because they make squares. Yeah. All right, look at number 2. How many angles are in number 2? How many corners? Do you see any corners? I don't see any corners. Guess what? Circles don't have angles. There are 0 angles in a circle. Okay? Look at shape number 3. I see a triangle. Whoa, did you just hear that? A triangle? Angle? Tri? Do you remember what the root tri means? T-R-I? It means 3, of course. Well, let's see if that makes sense here. So we have our triangle. Here's an angle. Here's an angle. Here's an angle. How many? 3. Just like our triangle. What kind of angles are these? If you said acute angles, you are right, because they're smaller than the right angles. All right, good job. Look at number 4. This one's a little different shape. See if you can find out how many angles there are in that shape. I'm going to draw it up here on the board. Well, when I'm looking at it, I see this one, and this one. Here's a corner, so that's an angle. Here's a corner, that's an angle. Here's another one. So what did you get? Did you get 5? Me too. These 2 angles right here are bigger than right angles, so those are obtuse. But look at that. 1, 2, even though it's sideways. Remember I said we could have it sideways. 3 right angles and 2 obtuse angles. All right. Let's go down to the bottom. It says, tell if the angle is a right angle, an acute angle, or an obtuse angle. Do you see on the shapes that there's a dot? There's a dot in the corner. So look at number 5. Right now I want you to decide. I'm going to count to 5, and then you decide which one it is, and then you're going to say which kind it is. Look at the yellow shape. Decide. What did you get? It's an acute angle because that angle is smaller than the right angle. Okay, let's try another one. Number 6, do you see where the dot is on number 6? Look at the angle for that one. Decide. What kind? Obtuse. It is bigger than the right angle. Remember, we're looking where the dot is. Everybody look at number 7. Find the dot. Decide what kind of angle. What do you think? If you said right angle, you're correct. That right there is a square, and the square is made up of all right angles. Look at number 8. Decide. What do you think? It's also a right angle. They tried to trick you because they took that rectangle and moved it rectangle. Oh, there's the word angle in there too. Interesting. That is also a right angle. Okay, very quickly, I want you to look at this clock. On your clock, you have angles. You do. Look at this right here. Do you know what angle this is? Can you put a square in it? Let's check it out. If I'm right here, can I make a square? Does that work? That is a right angle. It sure is. But if I'm going to leave that in there. If I make it smaller, oh no, it's smaller. It's not the full square. It's acute. You see how that is? But what if I change it and make it bigger? What do we call that? Obtuse. So even on clocks, you can see the angles. There's the obtuse, there's a right angle, and there's smaller. So we need to be working on learning these angles. Go ahead and close the hardcover book. And I'd like you to take out your worksheet 112. It says angles at the top. So go ahead and get that out. If you need to pause it to get it out, that's fine. You can do that. All right, let's look at work page 112. At the very top, it gives examples of right angles. The first one looks like a square, and so does the second. Look at that third interesting thing. There are 2 right angles in there, aren't there? Yeah, there are. But then on the second side, it shows acute angles, less than a right angle, and then an obtuse angle, which is greater than a right angle. See those up there? That's for reference. You can use that to help you. On 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to count how many angles or corners there are. Okay? Look down at the next part. 5, 6, 7, 8. How many right angles does each figure have? You are going to have to go in and put in some squares. Draw them in. See how many that there are in there. Okay? Now down 9 through 12, tell if it's right angle, acute, or obtuse. Write those words in underneath it. And then 13, look at the picture. How many right angles do you see? This one's complicated. Look very carefully. And we'll talk about this later on. Y'all have fun angle hunting, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.